hopefully, I believe it's going to let me just go ahead and do that. Okay, so give that a try. We're not going for beauty of tone. Let me give you another couple of things to think about. When you're at extreme frog, you should be able to lift your index finger because the weight is being balanced on the pinky side of the hand. When you do the down bow, you should be able to lift your pinky finger, not your index finger. So because the weight is balanced on the index side of the hand. Okay, so that can be a test for you. So give that a try. Try a couple of unpleasant collé strokes right at the extreme frog. I'll give you about 20 seconds for that. So this is the idea. And I'm using my left hand to help right below the wrist to help me to make sure I'm not moving my forearm. Okay. So again, that's the collé stroke. Collé. All right. This comes in handy because it helps to train the pinky and the hand to be flexible. We don't, whenever we're playing at the frog, you know, we need flexibility to change bow and to change bow smoothly. We also need this idea of, like I said, getting the weight on the pinky side of the hand, which is called supination. On the index side of the hand, it's pronation. Okay, that supination will help you to make those smooth changes. It'll keep you from pressing in with your index finger. So I want to take this now, this idea, and I know we're jumping ahead. This is like, you know, this is months of pedagogy combined into, you know, 50 minutes here, or even less, because we're going to save some time at the end for some questions. Now I want you to, we're going to go back to the idea of the longbow exercise, but what we're going to do is we're going to do this gradual, like switching, moving down bow, moving from the frog gradually to the tip, just taking our time. So it's going to be something like this. I use less and less fingers as I get further away from the frog, and it's more of the arm that's making the motion, but I work my way gradually to the tip, and then you can work your way back. So I'm going to give you about 40 seconds to give that a try. Okay, and then just remember, when you're nearest the frog, you're the most supinated, and then your arm gradually back pronates, so your forearm is starting to look at you instead of the ceiling as you approach the tip, and the weight of your arm all the way from your back is going into the stick on the index finger side of your hand, and then you move, and then you transfer the weight back to the pinky side of the hand, supinating on the way up. So give it a try. And really try to minimize the amount of bow that you're using. Use a small amount of bow so that you really gradually work your way toward the other end. Great. So that's another exercise that you can utilize to help you, obviously with this, like I said, with the shifting, balancing of the weight, depending on, and the supination, pronation, depending on what part of the bow you're in, and smooth bow changes. Okay. I'm going to jump ahead. If I have time, I'll come back to a couple of things. I tend to overplan, so I have some extra things that I can talk about later if we don't have questions at the end. I'd like to, do we have any questions right now, though, about anything? And let me put it in gallery so that I see people, if I see a hand go up. Let's see. No hands? Wow, that's amazing. Okay, great, you guys. Awesome. So I'm being clear on a Sunday afternoon. Oh, somebody needs something.
I was trying to I was raising my hand. I don't know if you can see me.
Let's see. Let me see if I can find what page you're on. Is that Anna? Anna?
Yes,
Hi,
Catherine.
how are you? I remember you.
Yeah. Yeah, I remembered you too. Can you hold that yellow book up again?
Yes, will do.
So I can take a picture.
Sure thing.
Can you pull it back a little bit? There we go. Thank you.
Sure thing. And I will, you guys, I'll figure out a way to go ahead and mute yourself again, Anna. And I'll figure out a way, you guys, to get you this information down the line, even if it's like publicly posting it on my Facebook page, okay? I'll get you a bibliography. All right, great. Let's move into some left-hand stuff now. So with the left hand, a lot of times what we're looking for is trying to get as organized a left hand, as clear a left hand, as even as we can moving, especially if we're moving quickly, and getting up and down the instrument, right? Up and down the fingerboard, but then also getting across the fingerboard this way, right? So just as we change arm levels in our right arm, from string to string, and we have that wave. We also have a bit of a wave here, okay, when we're changing strings. So I've got a couple of exercises that I want to do here. Let me share with you again. This next exercise comes from a friend of mine who teaches at the University of Iowa, Christine Rutledge. She's a violist there, and I think I need to hold this one up for you. Hang on just one sec. So this is one of Christine's books. She has her own publishing company. It's called The Violist's Handbook. And the first chapter of this actually has an exercise in it. Her warm-up chapter has an exercise for the fingers and for moving the fingers. And, excuse me, this one is, and I just remembered where it is. Hang on one second. This one is, here we go. All right. So this is the original article that I, before the book came out, I believe, that she had it in. This is her warm-up article. And this is the exercise. You basically put the metronome on 120. And if you need to, you can do this more slowly at first. And the idea is that by playing dotted rhythms and doing pairs of notes, we work on the plopping again with gravity as opposed to pressing in. We just let the weight of our finger plop down into the string. I'm going to demonstrate this one a little bit, and then I'll let you give it a try. There are two exercises. This first one is just pairs of fingers. I'm going to do it. Let's see. I will do it at the 120 marking. But like I said, you can practice this try this on your own at slower tempos as needed. And you can also split the bowings. You can see there are two measures of each one. So it goes a little something like this. So basically what you're doing is you're plopping and releasing, and I think more in this dotted rhythm exercise of lifting, the action of lifting my finger to create the next beat. Dum, the lift, the lift, the lift, the lift, the lift, the lift. And lifting feels freer than pressing down. So that's the first exercise. Notice it's pairs of notes, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, till you get to the top. If you look at my left hand, I am pinky deficient. You can see how far below the top crease my pinky comes up. And so as a result, what I end up doing when I'm playing toward the top of this exercise is that I have to sort of rebalance my hand, and my thumb starts then to favor my fourth finger for that higher position. So I'm kind of in low second position by the time I get to the third and the fourth finger. The same thing happens. She then combines in this next exercise all of the fingers with the open string, and then you start out with all whole steps between the fingers, but in half position, and then you bring the first finger up a half step, the second finger up a half step, the third finger up a half step, and the fourth finger up a half step, and you're back to this tritone or three whole step pattern, but with the lowest finger on D instead of D flat like it was at the beginning. The other difference with this exercise is that now she does not only the dotted rhythm, but the reverse dotted rhythm. And so with that pattern, we now also have the lift is happening to create each of the different, every other note, and then the remaining notes, the ones you didn't before. So then it's a little something like this. Or, and then, okay. So why don't you give the first one of these a try? Let's see, I don't think I can get 2 pages at once. I'll put the first one up, and go ahead and give yourself about a minute to look at these two. I'll try to switch it over. You might not be quite done when I switch it to the next page. Okay. And I want to just let everybody know, if something happens and we get disconnected, just go ahead and log back in, and I'll go through the whole process of admitting you back in. Okay. Any questions about any of that? Okay, great. The next thing, and I'm going to shorten this one up a little bit and just give you one of the exercises that I was hoping to share. This next one is the idea of getting across the strings, right? So instead of going, we can go up and down the strings, but we can also go across the strings. And we were staying in one position just now. So let me talk about going across the strings now, getting on more strings, and then we'll talk a little bit about shifting. And I'll just tell you about one of my favorite exercises for shifting warm-up. Going across the string, this next exercise comes from a book by, I think she was the founding violist of the Turtle Island String Quartet, Katrina Reedy. And I'll show you her book here really quickly. Let's see. I think I have it on this. Yes, here we go. So Katie Reedy, this book is available on sheetmusicplus.com. And I'm going to share you the cover right here. This is it. Viola aerobics, technical workout for violists. And basically what she has is short exercises that you can do and go around the circle of fifths. It starts out with something that actually similar to what Galamian did in his violin book and now is in Karen Olson's viola version of the Galamian scale book. And basically going around, staying in position and going around and adding a flat, and then once you add all the flats, then subtracting sharps. So the way that I do this is I do this according to Galamian's book, which doesn't start on the open string, but on the first finger, and you play 4 notes on each string. And using 4th finger going up and down, and then coming down, you repeat 3 and 4. And then you would add B flat. Then you would add E flat. You get the idea there. And if you'd use the 4th fingers in first position, which you're going to need to eventually because you're going to have flats and sharps that are involved on your 4th finger, then you're prepared for even taking this pattern and putting it in 2nd position, 3rd position, 4th position, anywhere on the instrument. And then what Katie Reedy does in this is then she has several pages, 15, 16 pages of scale patterns. And then she has 15 or 16 pages of arpeggio patterns. And you do the same thing here. You would then, like I could take this one, which is short, number 9, and you could do it in different keys. And again, sometimes she talks about like doing shifting, but I like to at least start these in a lower position. And then you see the idea here? Give it a try. Pick your favorite key and apply that key signature to this exercise. If this is a little more challenging for you, then what I would suggest, let me see if I can get one of the scale ones. Yeah. Oh, I've almost got it. Hold on. Let me see if I can make this larger. Nope, that didn't help. That made it worse. Just do it slowly. Give it a try, this first one, or even a part of this next one on there. I'll give you, again, about 30 seconds or so. Okay. All right. Any questions about that so far? Everybody good? Excellent. Excellent. So what I'd like to do now is move into this next section. Like I said, I'm calling it finishing touches, like ways to, and some of these are ways that you can practice that maybe you haven't thought about practicing before, and others of them may be things that you haven't thought of them before, or you haven't thought of doing things this way before. And so it may provide some creativity and even spur and inspire some curiosity and creativity on your part for figuring out different ways to practice that help you to polish up your pieces, especially as it could be at the beginning stages, just approaching it different ways, or refining stages of preparation of your repertoire. The first one that I want to talk about is a rhythmic tool. I have a couple of different tools here. This first one is a rhythmic tool, and it's a way of organizing our music rhythmically, and it can serve both a practical outcome, but also an expressive outcome. And one of the things, I mentioned my violin professor, Sally O'Reilly, for my undergrad. One of the things one of her teaching techniques, pedagogical techniques that she uses with her younger students is something she calls fiddle rhythms. And what's great about these is it uses the spoken language to help make and really fill out the beat when you're subdividing the beat with rhythms. And so I'll show you her book just really quickly. This is the book, Fiddle Rhythms. It's only available for violin, but it can be pretty easy to go ahead and use if you're training some treble clef on your treble clef for viola. Anyways, all the rhythmic subdivisions get fruits and other kinds of tasty dessert foods, and so eighth notes are apples. So instead of 1 and 2, we have apple pie. She goes on to chocolate pie, huckleberry pie. So I have taken that a step further, and when I have students, intermediate and advanced students working on more complex rhythms, then I use words for that. So I think a lot of us know the word for a quintuple. Does anybody want to shout that out? Hippopotamus. Oh, I think I'm hearing it now. Yes, thank you. Hippopotamus. And I also, so we could say hippopotamus pie. You might want to come up with a different, that's probably discussing, but a different quarter note word for that. But it's an easy way to figure out how to stretch the notes out evenly in the beat. So why don't we try that with a couple of things, and make sure you're muted. I'm going to call out different words that we're going to use. And I'm going to also put the metronome on to help us stay steady. Let me see what a good tempo here. We'll do 60 since we're doing more notes here. So we'll start with something simple, and bear with me if you're my age or slightly younger. Okay, bear with me if you're an adult. Okay, and if you're